Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it. Thank you, witnesses. Dr. DeCicco, your testimony stated that biofuels mandates and subsidies have largely failed because they are designed to promote fuels that are, quote, fundamentally inferior to liquid hydrocarbons, unquote, for most transportation needs. What scientific breakthroughs would be necessary to change the potential of biofuels to compete on a performance basis with hydrocarbons?
Well, there was a lot of increasing emphasis, including direct federal subsidization of biofuel companies. One of the notable bankruptcies was a company called Skor that received many tens of millions of dollars of federal grants. It also had private investment. And it promised to make fuels that were fully fungible. In other words, to take biomass, use a process known as pyrolysis, and convert it into the kind of molecules that we find in ordinary gasoline and diesel fuel. Liquid hydrocarbons, when it comes to a liquid fuel, they're pretty much as close to perfect as you can get for a fuel. They don't really need to be improved upon. You can make octane. Octane itself is a hydrocarbon, okay? So you can make octane-enhancing components of various kinds from many sources. Biomass is a potential source, but that should be really dictated by the economics. Ethanol is an octane booster, there's no question about that, but it's not the only way to boost oxygen. And fuels no longer need oxygen in them. Ms. Skor mentioned, the oxygenate mandate, which happened before the RFS, after the MTB phase-out. There was a time when it was thought that oxygen would be beneficial in a fuel. That time has long since come and gone with advances in reformulated gasoline, well, you never wanted oxygen in diesel anyway. The point here is that, again, to go back to my earlier point, the industry, the petroleum industry, knows how to make very excellent fuels, and I don't think there's anything to offer on the bio side to make a better fuel. But the banner clean burning is just, in my view, I'm sorry, it's just rhetoric. There's no scientific basis because we can burn gasoline now extremely cleanly.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Gilna, do you agree with what he said, and why or why not? And what research are you conducting at BESC that would help accomplish this goal?
Well, if you will allow me, I'd like to give a somewhat folksy answer to your question, and it's simply this. My wife and I have a granddaughter. She's 2 years old, Molly. And of this much I am certain, that whatever she uses when she's my age to fuel her hover car will not be fossil fuel based, unless at least it's synthetic. So I think from my perspective, certainly, we need and have the opportunity here to take a long view. And that is the role of government and basic research here, is we need to develop options. It may or may not be biofuels. Right now, as far as I'm concerned personally, the investment of my time and my skills is best pointed at that. But I think as a country, we need a diversity of options for the consumer for fuels. That's my folksy answer.
Okay, well, let me ask you a little bit further then. If she's 2 and when she's your age, and you look like a fairly young guy, are you saying that she will not be using fossil fuels because that won't be available, or because there will be other developments besides biofuels, et cetera, et cetera?
My basic premise here is that no matter where they come from, our fossil fuel resources on this planet are by definition finite.
Now we've had numerous huge findings around the world. Some people say that will last us for the next 2 centuries. Were you aware of that?
Yes. But I still believe that alternatives and choices are needed.
Yes, sir. Dr. DeCicco.
One of the things that people fail to understand in the renewable debate is that the resource for making biofuels is far more limited than the fossil resource, because that resource is high-quality arable land. Talk about finite. That is finite. That's why, as the ethanol mandate, RFS has ramped up, sod has had to been busted. We've had indirect effects moving into deforestation. Land is not renewable. It's one of our most precious resources. And how we use that land and what we use that for is absolutely critical. And in my view, the science, which I know my science dissents from the many piles of studies that have been generated over the years talking about the benefits of biofuels, the issue here is the opportunity cost of land. Natural, arable land is by definition already removing CO2 from the atmosphere. That's why it's productive. If we were to have the kind of breakthroughs to, say, grow algae in test tubes in the desert, well, that would be potentially beneficial. And really fundamental work, not trying to, turn the algae into fuel, but work on maybe organisms that can do that better than current algae. That falls within the very fundamental work that I think the government should be investing in. But I just want to point out that this claim of renewable for biofuels is in many ways very misleading, because land is a precious resource, and we are far closer to running out of good land with all the different needs for land than we are of running out of the fossil resource underground.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chair recognizes